Here's a question I've been wrestling with. Will AI cure loneliness? We've seen all the AI companions, the AI bots coming out, whether it's type to text or voice, ChatGPT, character AI, the stuff that Meta's working on, you name it. We're moving quickly into a world where we will be having, and people already are having, long-term relationships with AI companions. Replica with a K is the one that's been around for the longest, the OG in the space. But what is this going to fundamentally do to this feeling of loneliness? Yes, we are in a loneliness epidemic internationally. Will AI be able to cure this? Here's the catch. Loneliness isn't a bug. It's actually a feature. You can think about it like physical pain. If you bump yourself, it hurts. If you touch something hot, it hurts. It's a signal for how you can look after your physical, biological body. There's this tragic case of people who don't feel pain, and it's tragic. They hurt themselves, burn themselves. When they're a baby, they bite their tongue. They do all kinds of terrible things to themselves because they don't have that feedback signal to learn to interact with the world appropriately. So if we think about loneliness in a similar way, that loneliness is a cue, a driver to keep us socializing, to keep us around other human beings, because it is something that is functionally healthy. It keeps our mental and physical health at a good level, and we take that away with an artificial treatment, if you like, with synthetic AI companions. Is that like perpetually taking some kind of painkiller? Are we going to be bumping into the walls and hurting ourselves in a more metaphoric, social manner? And what will this do to humanity long term? Some of these companions, these AI companions, have already shown good evidence they can help people. There's a study out of Stanford that showed amongst college students that using, I think it was Replica, this particular one, actually reduced suicidal ideation by about 3%. So there are some amazing good use cases of this technology. The other flip side of this is that a lot of the AI companions and friends are overly positive. They will build you up, tell you how wonderful you are, how wonderful your ideas are. They do this thing called sycophantic. They give you a lot of positive feedback. And that can create a bit of a bubble for some people. It can be over supportive for ideas that sometimes are not great, that sometimes can lead you down a dark path. So as these companions evolve, I think we're going to see that people are going to get very bored with this over positive supporting things. We're actually going to start craving more criticism, more critical feedback. And if you stop to think about it at the moment, I mean, if I think of the relationships in my life, the more challenging ones are actually where I've learned the most and actually grown as a person the most. So the other point of all this is that friction in relationships is, again, not a bug, but a feature. And if we design systems to be everything we want, i.e. the perfect relationship, we're actually probably going to get bored with that after a while, because we're going to see this lack of challenge, this lack of growth. We don't have to compromise anymore. And that means we're going to get very stagnant, and it's going to affect our brains, our minds in particularly negative ways. So I think we want to find ways to maintain the challenge in relationships, whether they be with humans or with AIs. I haven't seen an AI companion that can really do this yet, but I'm sure the people designing this are thinking this through, and they're going to be designing versions and features which really push back in ways that can help you grow, hopefully become a better person. Another point to mention here is that the way we might think about loneliness and treat loneliness for, say, a teenager, a young adult, versus someone in their 80s or 90s is going to be very different. The same way we think about treating diseases, medications for someone in the 80s or 90s and a teenager is absolutely very different. The way we think about using painkillers would be very different. So while someone who no longer has their family with them, maybe they're in a nursing home, they don't have a lot of companionship, they don't have the resources to afford to bring people in to talk to them and create friendships with, then there might be a really good case and a strong case for AI companionship in this later period of life. And I know a few startups and companies which are doing this right now and trying out AI companions in nursing homes. But we should think of young people and teenagers in particular very differently. We don't want to replace human companionship and human relationships with AI companionship. For the kinds of reasons I've already mentioned, but a whole lot more. Young brains under 24, but definitely in those teenage years are still growing. They're still changing. Your frontal cortex is still developing. Plus in the teenage years, the brain is full of different hormones that are driving a lot of these changes. So to bring in synthetic entities that can, for lack of a better description, warp the nature of reality perceived by young brains, I think is very dangerous. And we've seen some cases of this which tragically have led to death by suicide. So we need to be very careful, and I'm a big fan of these ideas that are being brought in age-gating AI companionship. For, here in Australia, the E-Safety Commissioner is working on this. There's been some rumors of this happening in the US as well. So I think that is actually a great idea. Adults can do whatever they want with these AI companions, but for young people, we need safeguards around these relationships. So in sum, when it comes to loneliness, it is a forcing function. There is some positivity there. We kind of want to have some feeling of loneliness. So we want to be in touch with that as a pain signal to drive social behavior for our overall well-being. So we don't want to take a synthetic AI companion pain pill to numb or wipe out that loneliness. There may be a role for helping attenuate it or treat it to a small degree, but we need to be very careful with the idea of just curing loneliness with AI companions. So we are going to have to navigate this very carefully. There's no simple black and white answers here. We need people with backgrounds in psychology and neuroscience to consult and work and take roles in these companies that are building these companions. And if you are listening for one of these companies, please reach out and engage with scientists who understand loneliness, who understand the way the brain works, understand our psychology, and build these tools as best we can to help young people, middle-aged, and absolutely help the older people. Thanks so much for watching.